Hello everyone, my name is Bisha. So in this video tutorial, I'll be demonstrating how to configure HA between two FortiGate firewalls. So in this tutorial, I will be using the EVNG. These firewalls are running actually the 14-day trial license, and I'll use port 1 as the management interface, which will be connecting to my PC network, so I can manage these two firewalls with a web browser without using any additional PC. And I will be using port 2 of both firewall as a heartbeat interface. So let's do the verification of the firewall version. The two firewall need to be using the same hardware, and also they should also be running the same software or firmware to form HA. So let's identify the system version. Get system status. Okay, so this firewall is running version 7.2.2. This firewall as well running the version 7.2.2.2. So let's go to the web UI. I will log into the first firewall 144 and then the second firewall. Okay, I have access to both firewall. For the clarity purpose, let me minimize this two window and let's make it side by side. So okay, here we go. Let me log into the firewall. Don't want to save it. Okay, the first step is we need to make sure both firewall are in the standalone mode. So let's go to the system HA. Yeah, firewall 1 is the HA, and what about the firewall 2? Let's verify. And yeah, they are also put in the standalone mode. So next step will be we'll verify whether we have any IP address configuration in port 2, which we will be using as a heartbeat interface. If we plan to use the heartbeat interface, you need to configure this port 2 interface before the HA configuration. Otherwise, there will be a lot of complication, because you cannot make any changes from the secondary firewall after these both firewalls are in the HA, including this interface heartbeat interface IP addresses. So we will start configuring the heartbeat interface IP. So we will use just as is described in the topology. We will use the 10.10.1/30 for the firewall 1 and 10.10.10.2/30 for the firewall 2, and then click OK. Okay, now it is set. So what we will do is, next step we will go to the HA to start configuring the HA. Before that, I want to take out the management interface configuration, because when you configure standalone firewall to HA, you will lose all the configuration, including the management IP address. So let's copy the management IP address, show system interface port 1. Okay, I'll copy it. I'll put it in the notepad. The same thing for the firewall too. Let's close this for now. So we will be using the active passive mode, which is the most common mode used in enterprise networks. And let's set the device priority of the firewall 1 as a 128. That's fine. And device priority of the firewall 2 as a 64, which is also fine. And group ID, this group ID we can use anything from 0 to 7, but this must be the same as in both firewall. And then group name also need to be identical. And let's set the password. Yes, we will be configuring the session pickup. So in case the firewall 1 fail and the firewall 2 take over the network, so there will be very minimal disruption in the network, because both firewalls have the sessions information. That's fine. We will be monitoring. Okay, here we use port 1 as a management, port 2 as a heartbeat. So port 3 we will use this one as a monitor interface. What does monitor interface do is, I mean, in case this interface is down, the firewall will trigger the failover. So heartbeat interface is port 2, that's as planned, it's okay. Here also the same, port 3 we'll put it in the monitor interface state, and then port 2 as a HA heartbeat. And then we will configure port 1 as a management interface reservation, because what this management interface reservation do is, for example, if you want to manage these firewall individually after you configure the HA, this is really useful. For example, you might want to monitor the SNMP status of the secondary firewall as well, I mean individually, to make sure the firewall 2 is also in the healthy state. I mean, it can take over the traffic from the firewall in any time. So for this kind of scenarios, it's better to have the management interface reservation configured. Otherwise, you can only access one firewall from the GUI or CLI, that's all. I mean, once the HA configuration is done. Otherwise, you need to go to the TC if it is the physical firewall, and then console in. Which is the default gateway of the management IP, that's fine. Then destination also 0.0.0.0, yes, like I set it for actually. Firewall. Then I will also be configuring the unicast IP. That is what we set during the initial stage, the port 2 interface. So, and then I'll be click OK. Then I'll click OK. So what will happen is, since we are switching firewall from standalone to active passive, it will erase all the management interface configuration. I need to go to the firewall and then configure the management IP. So I'll be pasting the same configuration that we take out before we do any configuration. So let me log into the firewall first. That's fine, we don't have any BDOM, so this error is okay. Sure if is there something going on. Let me do the verification first. Get system interface. I think somehow this is not applied, that's why we cannot access the firewall. Okay. Config system interface, edit port 1, let's see now. This happen, show system interface. Okay, now I get access to both firewall now. Let's verify the HA status. In both firewalls. So let's go to the system HA. You can see that firewall 2 is in the secondary status, and then the firewall 1 is in the primary status. The port 1 is the management interface. You can see the certain icon over there, and then the port 2 is in the heartbeat interface. You can see the HA role as with the heartbeat icon, and then this one is the HA monitor interface. You can see the HA role icon there. So this management interface, you might notice that this one don't have any HA role information, because this is how should I say, this is a dedicated interface for management only. That's the reason you don't see any information there. The same case for the firewall too. Now that's it. Okay. So we have configured the HA status. So we have verified the HA status. Let's do the failover now. So to do the failover, you can go to the CLI and then you can simply issue the diagnosis HA reset uptime. But before you issue this command, make sure the system override is disabled. Show system HA. Okay, so this system override need to be disabled. Otherwise, you know, the HA is not depending on the time. So it's more of how should I say it? Whoever has the higher priority wins the HA. This has status. So whatever have the higher priority will become the primary firewall. But if this HA override is disabled, so whichever the firewall come up first will become the HA. So the firewall with the longest uptime will the die. So what I'll do is if we reset the uptime of the firewall 1, the firewall 2 will automatically become HA primary. So let's do this. But like I said, you need to make sure this option is disabled. Otherwise, if the override is enabled, mean the firewall with higher priority will win no matter what you do. Set diagnosis HA reset uptime. Then we will do the verification. We will just simply refresh the browser. Yeah, it changed to the secondary. Now let's see what happened to the firewall 2. Okay, now firewall 2 became primary. So let's do the failover again. So we will issue the same command, diagnosis HA reset uptime. So now let's verify what became. Now the firewall is HA secondary status. Before we refresh, let's refresh and find. Okay, now it's primary. So let's refresh firewall 2 as well. It's become secondary. This is how you do the failover. Easily. Regarding this HA override disable, this should be disabled because in production network the HA status doesn't matter as long as as long as there is a less disruption in the production traffic, the weather arrays. So let it fail over. For example, if the firewall 1 has the same issue, let it automatically fail over firewall 2. Maybe we will receive alerts of the failover, and then we can go and find out why this failover happened, and then trying to resolve it from there. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching the video. See you soon for our next video. Bye.